All right, welcome to the next episode of Between Cast Fishing Podcast. This is Colin, and today we have a very special guest with us today. It's going to be Travis Nale down at the old Maryland area. He's going to come on and talk a little bit about where he's from, what he's doing. We're going to talk about last season and what we're up to this year as well. So, Travis.
Howdy, howdy.
How'd you get into fishing in the first place?
Ooh, probably when I was fishing, I grew up fishing on the bay, just saltwater fishing with my dad, and we, always white perch, catfish, and stuff. But when I was like 15, one of my dad's really good friends took me on my first bass tournament. It was on the Nale River down like the lower eastern shore, and I was still in middle, late middle school. So we didn't do any good. Didn't catch a single fish. Caught one snakehead, and I think it was a snakehead. We broke it off. But ever since then, it kind of became my itch. I played baseball throughout the rest of high school. Started one year, made it halfway through a semester at Stevenson University. But that was during the COVID era. So me and the online classes didn't really jive. So, quit, left after the first semester, and then started bass fishing fully, instead of just splitting time between baseball and fishing. My high school graduation gift was the Ranger that I have now. And ever since then, it's just been a lot of fishing and fishing and fishing.
So, what do you think the connection is? You see a lot of, at least I see it online, you see a lot of high school baseball players, and then they go and start bass fishing. Do you think there's some sort of connection between the two?
They're both definitely a mental game. Baseball isn't just so much it is physical, but at the same time, there is so much mental goes into hitting, goes into pitching, goes into fielding. And I just think it kind of fishing fills that void of the mental game too. You're going out there and you got to decide what you're going to do and how you're going to execute. With me being a pitcher, it's very similar because it's not baseball isn't an individual sport, but if you're having a bad day pitching, you're going to kill your team. So
right, yeah, yeah, all right. So like you're down in Maryland.
Yep.
What's your home water? Like if you were to pick one place, what is it?
Upper Bay.
Upper Bay.
Okay. It's 50 minutes away, and
yeah.
Everything around me besides the Potomac River is 50 minutes. So all those little eastern shore places are 50 minutes away. But the Upper Bay just doesn't none of those places hold a candle to the Upper Bay in terms of fishing quality, size of fish, and everything else.
So obviously we met fishing the BFLs this year.
Yep.
What was your progression from fishing high school, fishing club to moving up towards the BFLs? And I'm assuming it will be beyond that very shortly.
Yeah. So I started actually my high school fishing club. So they didn't have they called it the outdoors club since other kids could join. But me and my friend Reed Barra fished a couple of high school tournaments. Fished Racetown Lake in Pennsylvania and finished fourth in our first tournament we ever did. And that was in our junior year. Went to Smith Mountain Lake, didn't jive with that one, but that was back when I still had a 1985 Procraft with a 115 Merc that took a solid minute and a half to start every time that you wanted to go somewhere. So my senior year, we won the high school open that was on the Bay. It was a tri-state tournament, and we won the Maryland side. So after that, I joined Chester County Bassmasters, and I've done that since 2020. Finished second place in 2022. No, 2023 I finished second. Won Angler of the Year in 2024, and then last year I finished second again. So, and then the BFLs last year, I proved me and my dad made an agreement that if I won the Angler of the Year in our club, that he would help me on the BFLs. So we decided to go jump up to the BFLs last year.
Yeah, that was bumping into your dad up at Champlain highlight of the year. At least on my end was awesome. Cool, man. Let's talk a little about the season then. First tournament, what was that? We had the first week of May, Potomac River. What do you think? First week of May.
I was on something really good. I spent one day down to Nanjamoy, and I don't know where those guys fishing in Nanjamoy that do good because me and Dad spent the whole day down there and didn't get a bite. and then we fished kind of in the mid river, not far away from the Nanjamoy, not from Mattawoman, I mean. But when the tide was not the blowout tide that we encountered on tournament day, but you could fish pads really well, and I guess I was catching those fish that were just coming off the bed and chasing bream
Hmm.
because I had caught. We stayed in there for like 2 hours in this one creek where we hit them pretty hard, and I caught them good. And I ran around the next day and tried to find other stuff that was just like it, which didn't help me at all tournament day because everything else that was like it had no water on it come tournament day.
Yeah.
So
That
I
was,
I got lucky that my co-angler waxed me off the back of the boat in the morning. So I managed to get a limit, and then the whole ride out of the creek that I was fishing, I had to idle because there was only like 8 inches of water the whole way out of the creek. So yeah, I wish it would have went better, but I survived.
yeah, that's this here has you at 31st, and
Yeah,
that tournament. So that was my first time fishing like being on the Potomac, like a tidal bass fishery, and I'm running around, man. I'm like, all right, like thought I had something in practice, feeling pretty good, and then the water came down. What is it, 4 feet or
yeah,
whatever
and
it
the
was?
wind
Chicken with your head cut
completely
off.
wind completely blew the water out of that place.
Yep. And
And I've never
that
even
was
seen it. I've never seen it that low before, right? Most of the time you can still
no,
navigate perfectly fine, but not.
that was me first time going around. I'm like, wow, that water moved a lot more than it did all week. But yeah, okay, whatever. Coming back to ramp, guys are like, oh
Yeah,
no, 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 no. But I'd say starting off your season just with that, especially with the conditions we had, man. I mean, we talked to a couple of guys that fished that day, but if you didn't have your limit before the tide went out, whatever that was, at 9 o'clock, I want to say
yeah,
it was early.
you're
It was
pretty.
over.
And then everybody, it turned into a lap fest in the Mattawoman with because that was the only
Yes,
creek that had water
yeah,
in it.
yeah, bumper boats.
Yeah,
All right. So then you pack everything up and you head up down near my way, and you end up with ninth on the St. Lawrence. That's a
which
pretty good
was
finish up there.
unexpected.
Yeah, man. Tell me about that.
So that trip, my girlfriend actually made the trip up with us, and we spent the first 2 days of practice fishing all the way out towards Alexandria Bay.
Mm-hmm.
I never really stumbled at anything. Dad caught a couple, caught one 4.5 on a chatterbait on one of the shoals out there. But my girlfriend and me could catch the crap out of the little 10 to 12 inch smallmouth, but there was no size. The guys that I traveled with, my one friend Adam, fishes up there all the time, and he was like, "Man, the really good fish are out by the mouth." So I kept on doing it. Spent the first 2 days doing it, and he didn't catch them. I didn't catch them. Um, Fished Brockville one day, and Dad and Elena both caught 4 pound fish. I didn't catch a fish over 4 pounds until the tournament. And then I stumbled on something in Ogdensburg, and I told Dad had 3 bites really quick in practice right before a thunderstorm came through, and I said I think I'm going to start here, just because it's on the way to Brockville, and started there. And me and my co-angler whacked them all day long on the first day. And I just looked at my co-angler and I said, "There's no reason to leave. Like, I don't want to drive another 45, 30 minutes down, 30 minutes back, plus the 25 minutes to get to Ogdensburg." And I could have easily went over 20 pounds. I had 2 4.5 jump, 5 feet out of the water. And
Mm-hmm.
but
Different.
yeah, they don't do that down here.
No. So growing up fishing down, you obviously a lot of river systems. What do you think one of the big differences between something like the Potomac, obviously tide, um, but just going around and fishing all these river systems? What makes the St. Lawrence different?
Bait fish, I would reckon. The difference is too that the current in the St. Lawrence is just constant. There's no,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the wind can obviously change it, but they're always set up on that same current. Versus the tidal fishery, they will move around on structure. They will pull out to the low tide versus the high tide. They'll start to pull back up, and they just set up differently on different tides. You got to fish stuff to where you're going back up into it. They're just set up different versus St. Lawrence. They're constantly sitting on that same pattern.
Mm-hmm. Cool. So we leave St. Lawrence with a check, and you come out to Lake Champlain. How'd it go?
Not well.
Tough
Not
day for everybody.
not not well. I can't, if you would have told me after Oneida that I would have a better finish at Oneida versus Champlain, I would have said, but me and Dad caught him good in practice. I fished one of the points up on the northern side of, probably 20 minutes away from the boat ramp on the first
Yep.
day. Had 17 pounds pretty quick. I didn't touch it again. We went up on Tuesday, fished Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, hit it on Wednesday and did awesome. And then Thursday we messed around with some largemouth stuff. Probably
Mhm.
caught too many on Thursday. But tournament day rolled back around. I went up to the spot that I caught them good. They weren't there anymore. I don't know if they just moved, nomadic smallmouth off of points. But by 11:30, I had no fish in the live well. My co-angler had one. We went up into one of the bays, and I probably caught 25, 30 keepers of largemouth, but none
Mhm.
of them were over 2.5. There was no size to them.
Right.
Caught a bunch. Didn't even break the scale out. I just kept on doing the cold beam because I was in such a hurry.
Yep.
But, 5 fish threw me in 70, 76th, 78th.
It's crazy how quick the fish will move.
Yeah.
Right? Because I'll drive down the street and we'll whack them for a few days and then gone. Or the
Mm.
wind switches and they get tight and it's like, that tournament was one of those on the home pond where I'm like, I drew your dad, and I thought 20 pounds in the spot we were gonna go to,
Didn't have.
and we had the bites. We ended up splitting it between the two of us, um, and then we struggled the rest of the day. It was zooming around trying to find some of these kind of little hidden spots between all the other boats and people coming at you, and you
And
know
it wasn't easy in the middle of the day up there because the wind kicked up.
no, the wind kicked up, right? And that's when that wind kicks up, man. You make a choice. It's either you're gonna take the wind and you're gonna go, and you're probably gonna get beat up, and you're risking breaking a boat and killing fish, or you're gonna try to kind of hide somewhere and make something work. And when you have whatever it ends up being 140 boats, 130 boats, whatever the number was, doing that, that lake starts to fish really, really small. And it happens at our club tournaments too, where the wind kicks up, we come out of Swanton, and you come around the corner, and everyone goes,
Ain't worth it.
oh, nope, turn around. Then we go, beat up on each other in the same little creek. And
Yeah,
um,
if I had that one back, I should have probably explored Ticonderoga. But even
that's
with
a
that wind,
haul.
I couldn't imagine trying to make the ride back
Yeah.
Saturday
And
afternoon.
I think you're going to see a very interesting event with the elites this year and the no forward facing on Champlain. I'm
And even
excited for that.
and even us in a micrasm because we only got
Yeah,
3 hours to operate with it.
that's there's a ton of really good largemouth fishing going on in Lake Champlain, and I think it kind of gets hidden by. I mean, it's a world class smallmouth fisher as well, but the past 5-6 years, the largemouth fishing on Lake Champlain has just exploded,
Yeah,
and it's starting to become a little bit more well known. But I would not be shocked if you start seeing some tournaments here, especially with these getting rid of the forward facing mixed bags winning the tournaments.
well, it's like
But
the same thing I've been talking to Dad about. So, we get to choose our 3 hours that we want to use it. So, do you burn your 3 hours first thing and try to catch a limit of smallmouth, or do you try to beat somebody to your largemouth spot? That way, you got 3 hours before anybody else even tries to roll to it, and then save your forward facing for the end of the day.
and that's I could tell you, at least for me on Champlain, it's going to be for me it's going to be weather dependent.
Yeah.
If I can get that couple of hours, even if the wind sits down midday, and go out there and zoom some of those rock piles real quick, great. I, yeah, the 3 hours, man,
It's
I,
the
it's
same
going to
thing for
be neat.
And Cayuga isn't, I don't think it's going to matter as much, but still, Cayuga, from what I've heard, is a super good smallmouth fishery, too. So, what do
Mhm.
guys do? Do they pull the trigger first thing and go for smallmouth and fill out a limit, or do they go for the big fish right off the jump?
Yeah, they're just going to go catch bigs. Bigs on Cayuga for sure. Then so yeah, Oneida, decent event.
Yeah, if you look at the scoreboard, it's decent, but don't look at the number of fish I caught.
No, that was everybody.
Yeah. And that was
Uh,
another tournament where my co-angler just decided to wax me off the back of the boat, throwing an eco rig, and I was catching him on a Ned rig in practice, and
yep.
I just didn't adjust quick enough. I let him whack me. He put like 5 fish in the boat before I put one in, and I'm just like, all right, let me
Mm-hmm.
throw what you're throwing because this is just getting ridiculous.
Yep. That was the tournament. I rolled in no practice. I messed up my work schedule. Couldn't get it off. It was too late. Came rolling in. Had that one afternoon, and I went off some stuff from the past, and it was not good.
Mm-hmm.
And I have never seen. I can't remember my co-angler's name, but good guy. I bring him out to the spot where I had some on scope, and he's looking at me. He's like, "You're doing it wrong." Right on the front of my boat, man. That's why it says it. You're doing it wrong. That's a reminder for me. And he's like, so we ended up switching it completely 180 and getting up there and going up shallow. And as soon as we did that, man, different tournament, different lake, just running a chatterbait in the grass, hitting the same spots that I'd hit a couple tournaments ago, but yeah, overlooked all of it. Fished on no sleep.
My co-angler said that he was catching up there last weekend on some deeper stuff. We went and tried it for 2 hours and didn't catch a single fish. And I'm just like, well, we should have just stayed where we were catching largemouth because. And he was consistently catching 3.5 pound fish, 3.5, 4 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was where we were at. I mean, we burned probably 2 hours in the morning catching nothing and went up there. And I can't remember if he caught a limit or not. But we had the right size. It was just didn't get enough bites at the end.
I didn't see a lot of small fish on Oneida. They were all decently sized.
Yeah.
Caught a 4.5 in practice on one of the shoals, but it wasn't one of the well-known shoals. It was just a small one up on the north end of the lake.
Yeah, that is the one event though. I'm not going to say I'm excited for it to get switched with Cayuga.
Oh, I am. That lake is awful.
I'm ready. I'm ready for it.
My club goes up there every year and stays at a cabin. But, I even talked to him before going up there, and it's like, oh, if that wind blows, you're kind of, SOL on getting anywhere. And the 2 days of practice, me and Dad said, we're not going out on Oneida. We just made the trip from Oneida all the way up to the St. Lawrence and fished the St. Lawrence instead of getting beat to death on Oneida.
Right. Yep. But goodness, you don't have to worry about it this year.
Yeah. At least Cayuga faces north and south. It doesn't get the east and west wind the whole way down.
Right. Exactly. And then you come back to the Potomac for the 2-day. Where'd you end up? It was like couple ounces short of the day 2 cut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never fished down there in that September to October. And it just, not that I wasn't prepared for it. I mean, I did so much research on it about flipping and punching grass, but I had never had to throw an ounce weight or an ounce and a quarter or an ounce and a half on the Upper Bay. It just never gets that thick.
Mm-hmm.
I covered a lot of water with a frog. I had a couple bites, but nothing that, blew the world down. Nothing that I felt confident enough to go back on tournament day and just rip it.
Right.
So, me and my co-angler ended up fishing docks all the way down in, southern part of the Potomac. And we had a really good day. Both of us probably caught 10 fish apiece, but, nothing over 3 pounds. A whole bunch of cookie cutter 2s and 2 1/4s and...
That was, I know a couple of those boys making a long run. Seems like the couple of guys that fished on the second day, and you can't blame them.
No.
I mean, how many times at that point in the year those creeks must just get eat up?
It has to be all the bait fish to push up in from the bottom part of the Potomac, and then they just seem to throw into those two, Potomac and Aquia. They just seem to push themselves into them.
Mm-hmm. It was blast off we go, and
everybody went in.
Just everybody. It was like grabbing a deli number and then just getting in line. All right. And then you fished the regional, qualified for the regional.
Yeah, that was the tournament that got away. That was a tournament that got away.
Yeah. Tell me
Uh,
about that. I don't know if we've talked a ton about the regional
no,
yet.
the first day of practice, we fished all the way up in the top of the Chickahominy, and I will tell it because I didn't have this by myself. I mean, on tournament day, I probably had 50 out of the 100 in the Chickahominy. The first day of practice, tore him up on a buzzbait, had 18 pounds on the first day. Second day, went back, fished other creeks that were just like it, had another 18 pounds. So I'm like, man, I am set. Because, 16 pounds was about top three on all the tournaments that were coming up to that. I will say in hindsight that the 2 days that I whacked them, it was cloudy and the tide was normal. Went back and Thursday it was bright because the tournament was Friday, Saturday.
Mhm.
But Thursday I said, man, I'm so good. I just want to make sure that I have enough gas to get from Richmond all the way up in the Chickahominy and all the way back so I don't have to worry about a fuel stop. So I wasn't driving at full throttle, but I was giving it like half throttle, and I had enough gas to make it. So I felt very high and mighty going into that first day where I'm like, I'm only giving myself 3.5 hours to fish, but I can catch them in that quick because it was every creek I was catching 2, 3.5, 4 pounders. It was just a matter of time. It was just a matter of hitting enough creeks to catch them. Tournament day rolls around. I got beat by everybody up there because I didn't get the fuel stop. I was trying to play the long game. And I never got bit on a buzzbait. I and, and I took
Oh
everything out of my boat.
no.
I took everything out of my boat because I was trying to lighten the load out. I'm just like, and 3 hours isn't enough to adjust because you're like, man, it's gonna work. I just got to keep doing it. And I just kept doing it and doing it and doing it and never caught one fish on the first day. And I had to scoop that fish off of a stump with a little jig head minnow. I'm just like, this is ridiculous. And I didn't have nothing else because I didn't practice anything else. So second day, I took a co-angler that was very close to making. He was in the check range and he was close to making the top three. Just needed one good fish. I got him a limit on the second day, but I think I caught one 12 and 12 and a halfer. If it was
Yeah.
barely a keeper. I think I have the Bass U subscription, and I listened to the JT Kenny video about the James back before. And I was driving home from somewhere, and I listened to it again, and I was like, man, I know he's talked about this before. And he's like throwing a little tiny Senko that he would cut from a 6-inch down to a 3-inch, and he would throw it around people fishing just like that. And I'm like, it just couldn't pop into my head during that tournament, during
Yeah.
practice. Maybe I should bring it along just in case it gets tough.
Right.
But I kid you
It,
not, in practice, I could do no wrong. I was throwing down the bank, not even in one of the creeks with a chatterbait, and I scoped up a five, just slammed it out in the middle. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be such a great tournament. And it just never turned out the way that it needed to.
it's one of the craziest things, and I don't know if it's changing conditions. I don't know if it's pressure.
Yeah, but
I don't know what it is, right? And it's just I had a couple of those practices too, where it's like you're Superman,
yeah, you can't do
and then
no wrong.
day one you go out there and it's like, what happened,
It's like
right?
you're not even fishing the same river at that point. It's just
No, no,
and
just
yeah,
nuts.
those 2 days of tournament, we had a big blow in tide from I guess a coastal storm coming up the coast. So
Hmm.
all the docks had water over top of them. So like you couldn't even flip docks. You couldn't unless you're just thrown to the pilings, but you weren't getting up underneath
Yeah,
it.
yeah, I can't get him. Huh.
But fishing pad fields and just throwing a buzzbait through them, and I was wrecking them.
Yeah, that's money.
And by the second day, I started covering my hook up because I'm like, I don't want to keep stinging them. And I
Yeah.
probably so I don't know if it was the pressure, because I didn't sit there and watch it on that last day or the second to last day of practice. I
Yeah.
just I didn't want another boat sitting on it.
Right. Just keep moving.
Yeah,
Well, new schedule comes out, and you must be pretty excited when you find out you only have 50 minutes to travel
tickle
to
pink.
to two of them, and then what is it, an hour and a half, 2 hours to the other one, or at
Yeah,
least for the regional. So, couple up on the bay. We have a May, first week of May, and then the September
and
tournament.
the May one is going to be super fun. September might be a little on the grindy side, but May is
Yeah.
going to be a super fun time.
So what's May like out there on the bay?
Um, The grass is coming up. Usually the milfoil beds are already topped out. Not super topped out, but on a low tide, they make a mat. Last year, me and Dad caught 56 fish in 3.5 hours up there. And, if you wanted to keep a running total, we probably had over 120 pounds worth of fish in 3 hours. But you can really do anything that you want up there. You can go fish docks. You can go fish in the Susquehanna for smallmouth if you really wanted to. You're not going to do anything competitive in a tournament going to catch smallmouth, but you can do it. The only thing about the bay is that you aren't going to get away from anybody. You are going to be in a crowd. And I think that's what helped me so much on the St. Lawrence is that I'm used to fishing in around, I think up in New York, having 5 boats around you is a lot. Upper Bay, get used to having 50 to 60, 80 boats on one grass bed. Unless you make the super long run to like the sassafras or the gunpowder, which has worked in the past, but you're not going to get away from people. It's going to be a slugfest between everybody.
What's you get there, you come into your spot, you have those 30, 40 boats around you. How are you throughout the tournament staying focused on what you're there to do? Because for me, like that is like you said, there's 5 boats. There's a boat within a half a mile of you up here on Champlain. It's like, what? Why is this guy up on top of me?
Yeah.
Right? Like, what are you doing to stay focused?
I mean, honestly, I've gotten to a point to where it helps me because if if you see a rash of people start catching them, you're usually just not throwing the right thing because the bite's kicked on. If you're watching 10 boats around, you start catching them, and you're not still getting bit, you probably should change what you're doing, whether it's slowing down or throwing something different. But it's a fine line between staring at people the whole day or keeping your head down and grinding it out. And try to stay in the middle of it. You want to know when the bite's kicking on. You don't want to be running around when you just watch 10 boats just catch them back to back to back to back. Like you should just camp out. It's not that you're doing anything wrong, but you probably should change. You're in the right spot.
So what's going to be the main difference between fishing like up in the Potomac, like where we went for those other tournaments, and being out on the bay?
The tide isn't nowhere near as strong on the Upper Bay. The Potomac might flip flop maybe 3 foot on a really strong day. You'd be surprised to see 2.5 on like a really good day on the Upper Bay. That Northeast River will play just as like the Mattawoman does, but Mattawoman doesn't have the Northeast River doesn't have lily pads. It is pretty much just strictly a dock fishery. You can find some grass out towards the mouth, but it's pretty much just, I call them retread fish. I don't think they'll play as much as they would in September. But I know guys that went and dropped 22 pounds fishing a marina in the Northeast. It's just,
Right.
they're all over the place up there, and you can run into them. And it's just, I don't know if some of those fish from last year are still stuck up in the Northeast because right now when those fish get dropped off in the fall, you look at your live scope and it's just balls and balls and balls of shad. So they don't go anywhere. It's like me and my girlfriend went up and fished and right the day before Thanksgiving, and we didn't have to take the boat off. Didn't have to jump the boat up off a plane. There's just you go back and forth there. There's tons of fish that just sit and live right there. But in that May tournament, you can really pick your poison and what you want to do. You can flip, you can throw a chatterbait. Chatterbait's going to play a lot. You can even throw a rattle trap in places that aren't as grassed in and cover water. There's the 2 community hole spots that you're going to see the majority of people, but you might be able to find something sneakier if you find that one lone grass patch that's popped up. Because there are a couple deep spots out in the middle. There's a channel that runs right down the middle of the bay, and there's a couple other trenches that are known to the locals. But pretty much everywhere else, it's a 3 foot to 1 foot big sandbar that runs across the whole bay. Like from that if you looked at a map, the 2 islands that are in towards the bottom southwest side of the bay, of the flats. In the middle of that is the big channel that runs around, and then there's a channel that runs on all the sides around the circle.
Mm-hmm.
Everything in the middle is, in September, will be a complete grass mat, pretty much the whole circle. So September can get overwhelming because the eelgrass and hydrilla will start to come up in June to August, September. But in that May time period, you're pretty much only going to find milfoil.
Yeah. So when do you start getting that grass start like I come up to an area that I don't really know, and there's grass all over the place. I have a real hard time breaking that down. Right? What are some things you're looking for in that area that's like this is a better place for these fish to be versus
Yeah,
something else?
I'd say the pockets on the bay, like if you're not fishing a straight line, most of the times if you fish the bottom side of a grass flat, down towards the sassafras and stuff, you'll get some
Mm-hmm.
jagged lines. It's not just a straight grass line off of a channel. But I've caught a 6 pounder off of the straight grass line off, in August. I mean, they can really be around. It's just a matter of if you want to, not that matter if you want to find, but they're just around. You can flip. You can usually on high tide, the flipping bite goes away up on the bay. You can rip a chatterbait, a swim jig around, and fish those kind of cuts throughs and just rail a chatterbait down the grass line. But when you get to low tide, that's my favorite time to flip around. And they actually kind of tuck up into the not that not that they tuck up into it. I guess it's just more pronounced to where the edges are once the tide goes out.
What's the go to? I'm gonna flip this bait around because I was watching some of your YouTube stuff and I saw some interesting stuff going on.
Yeah, Berkeley pit balls for me. That's my favorite flip bait. I don't know if it's the power bait because it's not the max scent version. It's just a regular power bait.
Mm-hmm.
But California color, black and blue,
Yeah.
they just wreck them up there. I don't know if it's. I know the black and blue work so well just because of the blue crabs on the bay, but I guess
Mm-hmm.
California color is more of a bluegill imitator. But it gets really good up there. It's just
I don't think I own anything with
yeah,
orange in it. Like it was one of those when I was watching your stuff the other day. I was like, huh, right? And that's what I thought. I was like, I don't know if it had something like you said with the crabs or something that they're seeing. It's just a good contrast.
because because our water can get very muddy up there. It
Yeah.
depends because there's the big dam up the Conowingo. So if we get a really wet May, that bay will be chocolate milk from all the
Mm-hmm.
water coming out of the dam. But like the last couple of years, it's been very clean because we ain't really had any rain. So the spinnerbait bite has been really good. Your shad kind of imitator chatterbaits have been really good just because
Mm-hmm.
they can actually see the flash. Versus sometimes it's you got to drill them right on the head to get them to bite.
Anything else you want to touch on the old bay? I don't want to just sit
Oh
here
no,
and
you're fine.
pick all your stuff apart, right?
I mean, yeah, all those little feeder creeks are really good.
Yeah.
I Swan Creek can be very good. It just all depends on if you catch the wave of spawners going up into that creek. It's very common to see tournaments get won in like our big tournaments, 22 to 25 pounds in May.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's going to take a bag to win it, especially if your local sticks show up. I know Duke Nave's planning on fishing all 5 of our BFLs this year. Paul Sorokman he's the guy that's beat me angler of the year twice, and he finished second place the year I won. There's Richard, not Rich. It's his last name's Nurk. He's very good. There's a lot of sticks like Richard Ledbetter, who does Bass U, fishes with us.
Mm-hmm.
Pete Glusick fishes the Upper Bay tournaments. I'm sure he'll be there for the BFL.
Yep.
There's a lot of good people that know how to fish up there, so it's gonna be a slugfest.
Yeah. I'm excited. I'm excited. Those are the two I'm very excited for this year.
And
Go up,
it'll fish a
different
lot like
fishery. Never really been on it, right? And it'll be just like going to the Potomac last year
yeah.
for the first time. That tidal fishery, I don't know. I love it. It's that kind of close quarters fishing. It's chatterbaits. It's top water. It's flipping. It's punching. And like for as much as you know, the guy that lives up in Vermont with the spinning rod, right? No, that's what I grew up doing. That's what I love doing. It's just getting in there, kind of that pulling grass, getting through it all.
And you would never know Champlain has it now if you've only watched Bass Live for the last 3-4 years because there's a ton of it up on Champlain. Like I never knew it really existed until you got up there and you start looking around.
Yeah, yeah. That's I don't know. Most of the stuff around us is it's grass lines and then rock piles. And if you're not fishing the rock piles or you're not in the grass, you're fishing basically for roamers
Yeah,
and chasing them down off because we have all those ledges, right? You can just, but
and I
you
still
can
get
catch them however you want.
I
You
still
really
get lost.
can.
I still get lost in the ledges just because there's nothing down here that makes. Every time I go away, it's my learning time to figure out how to fish those deep fisheries because deep around us is 6 foot.
Yeah,
It's not.
yeah, yeah. When I figure it out, dude, I'll let you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I struggle with it too. Every once in a while, it's like, I think I got this figured out, and then you get humbled.
Yeah. And those
you
fish
know,
I just think move so much versus those ones that are staying in the grass bed. They're not, they might move in the grass bed, but they're not going to go swim a mile away and
no,
follow a big bait ball.
no. It's if you ever want to see something cool, next time you're going with Champlain, you're chasing those roamers around. Put your track on as you chase them,
And you just,
and zoom out, and you'll just see you're doing figure eights on these fish off these ledges. That's all my little lines look like because you're chasing the same four fish, and just
right.
doing circles. Yeah, that's it. They're just running around chasing bait. All right. Let's see.
Let me grab a phone. Let me grab a computer
Want to
charger.
do a hot take question?
I said, let me grab a computer charger real quick. Yeah, I got moms out here.
Oh, I might have lost you there for a second. There you go.
Yeah, the computer's getting ready to die on me.
Uh-oh.
All right, that should be better.
That's all right. You want to do a hot take question?
Yeah.
All right. What's something that most anglers aren't ready to hear?
Can we go to the older generation that the cheater box doesn't taking away the cheater box isn't going to take away your young guys still catching the crap out of the fish?
Travis, this is your time. Whatever you want to talk about.
Yeah, taking away live scope from your Trey McKinney's, your all the young guys on the elites isn't going to change that they're still going to catch them. I mean, it's that whole argument that they don't, not that they don't have a life, but their fishing is their life. They can spend days and days and days on the river and still figure out how to do stuff versus the older guys. But they have a family, they have kids, they have sponsorship obligations. They're well known. They don't have the time that they used to have when they were younger to stay out on the water. Just because, and I'm not even the biggest Trey McKinney supporter. I don't like the way he acts with the camera on the boat. That's just a personal thing. I don't like to see him ragdog fish across the boat when he's not, catching little fish. But it's like the one guy that won that $1 million tournament, Tucker Smith.
Mm-hmm.
He was supposed to be a live scope only guy, and he goes out there and wins the tournament without any live scope.
I think this year is going to be very eye-opening for a lot of people.
And I don't know how many people aren't going to actually show up this year versus, because I've seen the comments where everybody's saying, why am I going to jump in a tournament where I can't use my electronics? It's just the rule set that we're given now.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine being on the back of somebody's boat that's out there in 60 foot of water on Champlain and just constantly throwing at roamers all day. It can't be very fun for a co-angler to.
No. It's, I think it all comes down to, is it the old mentality of we're the boaters, we pay for the boat, we pay for the entry fees, we pay for the insurance, right? We've done our time, and this is how I caught them in practice, and this is what we're doing, right? Or is it more than that, and it's, what is the co-angler's role in all of it? Is it a learning experience? Is that unfortunately one of those tournaments where you're better off taking your rod, sitting in the seat, and just learning a thing or two? Or, can your boater help you out and throw you a bone, right? Like what? Okay, we're going to go here. We're going to get you on a couple, and then we're going to go out and I'm going to do my thing, right? It's hard, especially with these one-day tournaments, right? Where you only have a few hours, right? And you never know.
You never know if that first hour you burned putting your co-angler on fish was the hour that your deep bite was going to fire. You just don't know.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm
I'm just more
excited.
I'm more so intrigued how they're going to enforce it. You know, I love the whole honor system and the co-anglers are going to report you, but what happens if best buddies get pulled together? You're telling me they're going to go rat on their best friend that they've used live scope longer than 3 hours?
Right. I've always said it. The only thing we have in this sport is integrity. And if we don't maintain the integrity of the sport, nothing else matters.
Right.
At the end of the day, it comes down to a lot of what we do is honor system, right? We go out and the expectation is that you are going to follow the rules that were laid out in front of us. I hope that everyone can sit down and for 8 hours out of the day, honestly, just do what you're told, right? Like that's what it comes down to. People are always going to try to walk the line. They're always going to operate in the gray. They're always going to be like just a half a step from being either way, and that's just being competitive sometimes, right? You see it all the time. You see it at the highest levels. You see it at the lowest levels, right? Um, but that's my one hope. If guys aren't being truthful about it, hopefully someone steps up and says, no, that's wrong, right? Or that it can be a conversation before it even gets there, right? It's, hey man, like I know you've been on it for 3 hours now. Like I'm seeing what you're doing, right? It's time to turn it off.
Yeah.
Right? And that to me is okay too. It doesn't need to be like tournament.
I'm gonna rattle on you as soon as you go over 3 hours in 1 second. Like
hey man, like just keeping everybody honest here. Yeah, man, sounds good, right? I hope so. I hope so for the sport.
Yeah. It's the same thing with our rules now. Like obviously I'm gonna go out there and practice, and like if I'm fishing a grass line with my live scope, I'm just going to constantly drop waypoints on the grass line, and then once my 3 hours goes up, I'm still just gonna run the waypoints.
That's it, man. Right? If you're on them, you're on them. Yeah. The guys that can catch them on 2D and the guys that can catch them on side scan, they're still going to catch them.
I don't understand how the 360 got lumped into this whole argument. I mean, nobody had a problem when 360 came out. It's just a big side scan that's forward.
It's awesome. Yeah. It's great. Guys catch a lot of fish on it.
Well, luckily for me, my whole system's based off of a switch. So once I turn my switch off, I can still use my front depth finder. So I'll declare that I'm turning my switch off, and it ain't gonna come back on. But like, what's stopping a boater from just say I'm turning my live scope off and just accidentally hit the button back on the live scope and just start.
Right. I don't know. I think we're gonna this year will be like the test phase. Yeah. And then it'll change.
I know it'd be a lot. I know it'd be a lot of money, but like what they're doing for the Toyota series with the whole lockbox, that can see how many. But I can't imagine how much money that would be to dish out to all 12 divisions of BFLs and 150 people, 150 per division.
We could do the quick math. Yeah, a lot of money.
Yeah.
So no, that'll be good. Yeah, it'll come up. I think the first. What do you think? Do we think we make it through the first tournament? No, without it being a problem. It's me either. I don't know if we make it.
And what are they going to do now? Polygraph the top 3 guys in the money that that's even more money out of their pocket because they're paying for a polygraph to be done each tournament.
I don't know. I hope that some guy walks in and wins it on a Senko. Here it is, right here.
And it could happen on the bay. Somebody could go out there and just whack them with a Senko.
Chuck a worm in the grass. Yep.
So, and I would rather them seeing what they did Bass do this year with the whole 1 on 1 off, not do 3 hours. Like we could have did 2 tournaments without forward facing and 3 with it, or 3 without, 2 with. Because Upper Bay can be easily fished without forward facing. But like
that's what I mean. It's like.
Because the St. Lawrence.
You ever fish the St. Lawrence without forward facing on your boat?
Yeah, it's going to change a lot, but there's still good largemouth on the St. Lawrence. I mean, you can go catch big largemouth on.
And that's the thing is like as much as we talk about forward facing this, forward facing that. Guys caught him plenty good before it. Guys will catch him plenty good after it, right?
It's not like we can't use it during practice. So let's just topping somebody from just throwing waypoints down in practice and going back and just dragging a jig through a rock on the shelf. I mean, it ain't stopping nothing from.
Nope.
The same guys are still going to crush them. And that was one conversation I had back when they first came out with it. You just kind of catered it toward the guys that are really good at forward facing because now they have 3 hours to make their killing. It's not like you're just killing the guys that are halfway decent with it because they don't have all day to work on it.
Right.
You just gave your Broderick Luckies 3 hours to just waylay them and then go on big fish at the end of the day.
Yep.
It's.
I wish I was better with it. That it was going to make such an impact in my strategy, but I know for a lot of guys like that's going to be huge.
Yeah.
Right. It's a game changer. You go from all day long.
Yeah, now you got 3 hours and then you got to go fish, old school.
Yeah.
Old
I love it.
Man, it's for me because, I can't hang with the guys on the St. Lawrence and Champlain. And
no, me either. Live on the lake. Man, anything else you got on that?
Yeah. There will always be drama on that whole. I don't know why we created something that creates drama in the sport. I mean,
nope. That's it, man. At the end of the day, you having fun, right? That's the only reason we all ever got into this, right? Yeah. Like when we were all the same story. You're little kids. Someone took you out. You threw a line in the water. A fish caught it, and you had fun. And then we just lose sight. I think we lose sight of it sometimes. As an entire industry, it turns into a mess.
You throw money on the line of anything, it turns everything into a mess.
You look at some of the best guys that do it, right? And I think they're still having fun. Like at the end of the day, like you look at him and you're like, I think that guy's having fun. He's probably not every day. It's probably still a job every once in a while, but like the Rick Cluns,
the Swindles,
guy's still having fun.
The Swindle's still having fun. He's still
Swindle,
the same.
Right?
And he survived the rule change. It's not like I don't really know of anybody that. I guess you could name a couple that couldn't compete in the forward-facing era, but they still can go out there and catch them any given Sunday.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to fish against them.
No.
No. Oh. All right, want to do a rapid fire?
Sure.
Rapid fire, and then we'll. What are we at? We're at like 50 minutes, so we'll do this rapid fire, and then we'll do some. We'll close some remarks, and I'll let you get back on your day. How's that sound?
Cool.
Okay. Number one, favorite lake?
Lake or fishery?
Fishery. That's fine. Either
Upper
or.
Bay. Upper Bay works for me.
Spinning gear or bait casting gear?
Bait caster.
Fishing from the bank or fishing out of the boat?
Fishing out of the boat.
Early morning, evening bite?
Early morning.
One lure. The only one you got for the rest of your life. What are you throwing?
Jackhammer.
Worst weather to fish in?
Ooh, for me, blowout tide.
And then the best fishing snack?
Ooh, Uncrustables.
That's the only right answer.
They're so good to be able just to scarf something down when you're changing spots. It's perfect.
Dude, that was one of I totally forgot about those until went up with you guys. Uncrustables in the fridge, dude. We went out to Pennsylvania to do a hunt. We hunted whatever it was for the week. I went through 36 Uncrustables. It's like all I ate, dude. I had 2 Uncrustables for breakfast. I had 2 Uncrustables for lunch for like 7 days. It was great. Man, what's one piece of advice you give to a new angler?
Be patient. It's not going to come overnight. you can get lucky, you get lucky, but everybody gets lucky, and that's how we all started, was getting lucky, learning a new technique, and all of a sudden you fall in love with the technique. And just because you don't catch them one day doesn't mean you give up on it. It just didn't work that day.
Right. Good stuff, man. That's all I got. If you got anything else you want to talk about, you want to who are you working with this year?
Um,
Got anything in
so,
the works?
so I'm pro staff with Pure Fishing, so that would be an umbrella brand for like Abu,
Mhm.
Berkeley, Fenwick, Ugly Stick, and Fluger, and then Hennel Open Bait and Tackle is Jordan is such a great guy. He has 2 tackle shops over in Delaware. I just my guys that I traveled with introduced me to him, and I just got up to him late last year. We really started being close. I think he's planning on wrapping my boat for this year, and going from there. I'm still open to other things, but Jordan really has opened a lot of doors for all 3 of us, all 3 of us boaters, and then all 4 other co-anglers.
Mhm.
But he is such a great dude. Pays for all the entry, all tournament fees, and whatnot. So he's just a super good dude. If I don't think he has an online site, but if you're around Delaware and he's got a really good tackle shop that's right there in Rehoboth. I guess it's really Lewes, Delaware. But if you need live bait or anything that way, he's got it. If you need bass tackle, bass rods, he's got it. Um, and just to help out to the local guy that's doing a lot of good for the fishing community.
Right on, dude.
And obviously, I still got mom's Arundel Safe and Lock supporting me. I got dad's Health World
Yeah.
Logistics with FedEx.
Cool.
I will always take that support. And
Yep.
my late the late that taught the late Mr. Ken that taught me how to fish. His wife, All About Permit, sponsors me too. So
Mhm.
and I have to talk to Jordan to make sure that those are staying on the boat for next year, because I am forever indebted to Mr. Ken. He taught me how to goose hunt. He taught me how to
Mhm.
bass fish. He's taught me everything that I love to do now in my older years. And he passed away that September that I won Angler of the Year. And I hung that over top of my head because I told him I was going to win the Angler of the Year, and it came down to the very last tournament. And I was like, please don't tell me that I told him I was going to win this, and I let it slip away from first to second. But I ended up holding on to it.
Right
But
on.
yeah, without him, I wouldn't be doing this.
Where can everyone find you?
Um, Facebook is just my name, Travis Nale. Instagram is Travis Nale with no space, and YouTube it's Travis Nale Fishing. I have not really posted at the end of the year just because once I started traveling, it just all turned into a big muck of recordings and everything. But this year I'm planning on running 2 GoPros, so I get
Cool.
the first person and then plus on the back. It was just so hard to talk with the yellow tech in the back of the boat, just because it's
Hmm.
20 feet away from what I'm doing
Right.
in the boat. And
It's,
I
it's like
just
doing sign language to the back
yeah,
of the boat.
you can hear my dad perfectly well off the back of the boat, but you can't hear us.
Yeah.
But
Uh,
yeah, I plan on being better with that this year. And just trying to keep on plugging along with it. And if I can build YouTube up to something that can be, not a money making, but at least be able to gain more fans, and then hopefully in the next couple years, maybe next year, if the open schedule turns out right, that I can go try to qualify for the elites. I doubt it'll be like a one crack at it and I'll be in. It's probably going to take a couple tries, but that's the ultimate goal. It's either keep on working your way up through MLF to get to the Pro Series or do the opens.
100%, man.
Yeah.
It's and that's the great part about these BFLs, and still going to start getting a little bit more expensive for sure, but you can go in, you can learn a lot fishing a BFL.
Oh yeah.
It's travel, it's the out there. You don't really get the multi-day facet as much as you do like in a Toyota, where those are always multi-day tournaments, right? You have to wait till the end of the year, but that's it, man. Everyone's just climbing the ladder and trying to do the best they can.
And see
Here
where
we
they can
are.
go with it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right, bro.
24 years young and still got a lot of, this is my 5th year fishing, a lot of
Yeah.
tournaments. So,
That's it, man. Just keep fishing, right? That's
yeah.
all you can do. But all right, bro. I got nothing else for you. Appreciate you coming on.
It was.
You are one of the first people to be on this show.
I will gladly come back after Upper Bay tournaments or even before that.
Yeah, well, definitely when we get situated here, we'll do another one shortly.
Yeah.
All
But it
right,
was a
brother.
pleasure. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll see you soon, bud.
Yep. Have a good night.